Dane, it's so lovely to have you here. As we were speaking offline a little bit, you're on my list of people to get on my podcast. And then your people just happened to connect with my people, and here we are. So it's lovely to have you here. I've heard your story in the past a couple of times, and each time, like, I've got to get this guy on. He's so motivating. His story is so profound. And as the listeners will hear, you struggled with ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, IBD, inflammatory bowel disease. It's all kind of under one umbrella. And I know you kind of got multiple diagnoses, and it's like at the end of the day, you were in a real jam as well here. And my long-term followers and listeners know, if they've been following me from the beginning, they know that my son was in the same boat as you. Maybe not quite as critical as where you were at, but he was
hmm
close. He was a mess.
Mm.
And yeah, we struggled with that for years. So whenever I hear a story, I'm like, oh, I know what he's like. I don't personally know what you're going through, but I know what your mother was going through. And even
Amen to
though you
that.
were older than my son when he was diagnosed, I just like your story always gets me. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Shauna, for having me and everyone who's here today. I dedicate this podcast to you and your loved ones who are in that prison of sickness. You can get out. Healing is possible. Let's dive in and let's get you results. I will give you as much as I can today to help change lives. So, here for you. Let's get those results.
Well, thank you. So, a lot of my listeners have blood sugar issues, metabolic issues, chronic disease issues. So, maybe they're thinking, well, how is this episode going to pertain to me? This guy
hmm
suffered from UC, ulcerative colitis, and Crohn's. But at the end of the day, mindset is so absolutely, absolutely powerful in
hmm
getting you over the brink and leading you down the path of true healing. But give us your backstory because it is so powerful and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, so I was first diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, then Crohn's, then ulcerative colitis with gastritis, then Crohn's. They couldn't make up their mind. I eventually just started saying it's Crohn's colitis. Let's say I'm chronically sick. How about that, guys? It was a terrible experience. But one of the things I want to talk about today is how do you take the worst thing that ever happened to you and make it the best thing? And whether that's metabolic issues or inflammatory issues or autoimmune, they all have very symmetrical ways of healing, and that's what I had to learn. So I had to fail over and over again to learn how to succeed. Right? Like Thomas Edison. That's how life works. The universe works very similar. So nowadays I say I was lucky enough to get chronically sick so young so that I could change my life for the rest of my life, and not live 20 or 30 years allowing something in my body to continue to fester. When I first was diagnosed, I had no interest in natural medicine. All I ate was gluten, processed food, I had 2% milk with cereal, sandwiches. I worked at Papa John's Pizza. I had my dad sign something when I was 14 to let me work for $5.15 as a cashier at Papa John's, plus free pepperoni, sausages, pizzas on Friday night. And my first instinct is, how do I gain weight for football season? I want to be tall and be strong. Let's eat 1,000 calories, French fry, double quarter pounder with a Coke at McDonald's. I grew up in the middle of Virginia in the woods. We knew nothing about organic food or natural medicine. And back in the early 2000s, it wasn't as talked about as much. And my family, we didn't think we were being ignorant. We just didn't know any different. We were eating like everyone else around us. So for us, we were just, this is how you eat. If you need to lose a couple pounds or gain a couple pounds, so we only focus on macronutrients. And then, it was really and I love talking with you, Shauna, today because, and I'll shout out to all my mothers out there, it was my mom who really got scared at first. I was just a kid. I got my first signs of blood at 19. I nearly died of Crohn's colitis at 26. I was in the hospital, hooked up to every machine you can imagine at 27 years old. I spent my entire year at 27 years old, housebound, relearning how to walk, getting out of a wheelchair. It took me about 2 or 3 months to be able to walk again. I journaled every single day, what I ate, what I did, everything in my life to regain my health for 185 days roughly. And then I felt like I didn't need the journal anymore. But it took me a full year to be able to get back to work. And then I woke up, one day around, late 27 years old, and I went from 122 pounds in a wheelchair on methotrexate, on Entyvio, on 60 milligrams of prednisone, ambient painkillers. On the hospital, I was on chemotherapy. I was on, and I take antiviral chemos, capsules at home. And then I was on 3 grams of Dilaudid in the hospital. And then I came off the regular painkillers at home. And, I was on every drug imaginable. And so I just slowly worked myself off and slowly got better. And by the time, about a year later, I was 183 pounds, 2 to 3 normal bowel movements a day with some loose stool, minor things. And I had no undigested food, no major urgency. Calprotectin was normal. I never had to get my colon removed, which the doctors at 2 or 3 different hospitals told me, you're getting your colon removed. It's time. I actually got so sick they couldn't remove it anymore, which really scared my family, because it was like, did we just ignore this to the very end where it's going to be, life threatening? And it was life threatening. So I never did that was a very difficult decision to not get my colon removed. I don't remember. I was so drugged up. I hardly remember a lot of it. I really rely on my mom. So my mom actually lost her job while trying to take care of me because she was in Virginia. I had started a career in California where I still live. And then so she was living with me in Miami and California because I was pursuing an acting and modeling career. So when I was doing jobs in New York or Miami or California, she would help me. I mean, looking back, it was unbelievable how much she put into me, and she saved my life, along with the doctors. I'll tell you this right now. I know if you're angry about the conventional medicine, prednisone helped save my life too, and TPN feeding tube. So, I ended up getting rid of all medications, no surgeries, getting rid of all my symptoms, and being able to travel the world. And I had hiccups, like in my before and after picture, the Huffington Post ran on me. That post was in Thailand, where I got my Thai tattoo, my stick and poke tattoo. But I was in the hospital a month later with salmonella poisoning. A lot of people don't know that story.
No.
A lot of people also don't know the story. And Sean, since you know my story, I'll give you some other insights. I had done a natural medicine protocol about a year and a half prior, where I did more carnivore paleo and actually got great results, but I didn't know what I was doing. I hadn't gone to natural medicine school yet. I was reading Jordan Rubin's books. I was really meditating a lot. I really did my first emphasis of healing. And then I'm traveling again. I'm drinking a little alcohol again. I'm stressed. Me and my girlfriend break up. I'm dealing with so much. Boom, I'm in the ER room fighting for my life. So there was a lot of ups and downs. For anyone out there who thinks healing is linear, it's not. It's something we can talk about today. I had many ups and downs. I had one where I finally started getting results, and then I nearly died. But because I got results prior, so when that life-threatening position came in, I already had experience. I knew what I was going to do. I knew it could work for me in the past. And I already had the principles of healing down. If I hadn't had those, when I got life-threatening, I don't know if I would have had the ability to really, really push, and that's why I had those before and after pictures, because I had been sick for years prior and I had started the healing process. So I actually requested that someone close to me take those pictures because I wanted people to know what I went through. And I felt confident. I knew what I was going to do mentally. And so, I had a lot of conviction in my mind, even though I was up against something that every hospital and doctor was saying, this is too far gone. And what did a young punk kid like me at 26 know about healing, right? That's kind of what was one of my worries in the back of my mind when I was healing. And how many of you can relate with this? It's like, what do I know? And the doctors are smart, and they've been there. This is their career, and they've spent ages and years. And, hopefully I can open up your mind to what power you can do, because as smart as the doctors are, I don't know if they really are giving credit to what we as humans, our manifesting power, our spirit, and what the body can truly do. There's more than just drugs, okay? And food matters, and mindset matters, and energy matters, and herbs and supplements can matter, and understanding, getting empowered and trained, and looking at functional lab work matters. And alternative therapies nowadays, peptides, ozone, stem cells. I just got back from Cancun 2 days ago. I did mesenchymal stem cell therapy, 240 million cells. We can talk about that today too. I'm always looking at alternative therapies. Now I have no symptoms, but that's my job, and I love to continue to be proactive about my health. So from that day on, something changed in my mind where I decided that being a healthy person was an investment that would make me the most free, the most empowered, the best husband, the best father, the best son, the best friend that I could be on this planet. And so that was one big shift that would happen to me. But I haven't had any major issues, no surgeries, no drugs since 2015. Right there is when I started getting really good. And we're about 2 weeks from 2024.
That's amazing. It's
Yeah.
honestly hard for somebody to fathom how sick this disease actually makes you. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely worse for the person going through it, but those watching the people go through it too. I remember thinking over and over, like, oh, I wish this could just be me. Like, why? It hit my son. He started having symptoms when he was 10. He was diagnosed at 11, and then it was 3 years of hell. Like he was in middle school when it happened. He was so healthy. Like it just like hit like a ton of bricks, like
Mm.
sick one week. I mean, healthy one week, sick the next week. And all those medications that you were talking about, he was on all of those minus methotrexate. The infusion treatments made him sicker. And I would take him to his appointments and I'd just watch it drip in. I'd be like, oh, I hate this going in. I know like it's not good for his immune system. And
Hmm.
oh, he was hospitalized one time for, I think it was 5 days that I stayed with him at Children's Hospital Milwaukee. And that was probably his lowest. I know you have some of your lowest moments, but his lowest where, you've talked about having like 20, 30 bowel movements. That was my son. Like
Yeah.
it would be like we would leave for school and we'd have to stop at the gas station 3 or 4 minutes down the road before he got to school for him to use the bathroom. And then he would walk to school from the gas station. And my heart would break every time. And it got so bad where he'd like beg me to homeschool him because he couldn't even be at school. And
Hmm.
I mean, he was an athletic, likable, funny, smart kid. It wasn't like he was social, like socially awkward. I mean, he had a lot going for him. So it's hard to fathom. But there's other people living with other chronic issues who probably feel like they're in the same chains. But I remember his lowest moment was itch in Children's Hospital, and they had talked to me about a colectomy. And my husband, we have two other kids who is home, and I'm just like, oh, he's 12. Like,
Yeah.
we cannot take his colon. Like, I just
Yeah.
can't do this. But at the same time, I had some peace and comfort around it because the life he was living was no life at all. So I'm like, what's
Hmm.
worse? Like having a bag, a poop bag for
Yeah.
a while, or, dealing with this awful day to day that he felt he could never come out of. But I remember he didn't make it to the bathroom one time when he was in the hospital. And he was in there for the longest time. And I'm like, what is going on? So I opened the door. I'm like, are you okay, honey? And he's like, get out. Get out. He like messed up the floor and he was trying to
Hmm.
clean it up with toilet paper by himself. I mean, it was so I called the nurse and he got mad at me because I called the nurse. And it's just like the shame and the guilt and
Yeah.
everything, you just feel like your body's failing you. Like you literally feel like your body hates you and it's turned
Yeah.
against you. So,
Hmm.
but there's a lot of listeners think, same thing with, my blood sugars, like I can't get those under wraps. You know, I'm
Yeah.
on so many medications. So how did you start to crawl out? I know you said you journaled, but I mean, you were almost dead. I mean,
Yes.
you were to the point where you couldn't walk. And you said you were 26. You had
Yeah.
been an actor model up until then, and now you're in a
Yeah.
wheelchair and you can't get out. So you said it was like the mindset shift. Like how did that get you out of those dark days and to the point of healing?
Well, shame is a great teacher. And when you get backed into a corner, and for anyone out there who's been backed into a corner where you're scared because your lab work doesn't look good, your energy's not good, your weight's not good, you feel like you might be developing deeper issues like heart disease, cancer, diabetes. We're all in the same boat of fear. And we're here because we need others to relate, we need to learn, we need to put together a plan that's simple but effective. And it just took me years of suffering to get to open my mind to that. And maybe you're here right
Mhm.
now just looking for a place to shift your energy. And your son, I can relate completely with your son. I must have, and I talk about shame. For everyone out there is shame, I'm gonna tell you about shame. I probably pooped my pants 150 times. I've done what your son did plenty of times, even on a date once. A car, I used to keep a bag in my car all the time. Your body loses control with IBD. You can't control your bowel movements. I have, if anyone who's looking video right now, you'll see a reflection of a scar. That was me fainting because I was so anemic and dehydrated. My buddy was in town. I was trying to show him a good time. I just had a banana and water. I was walking down. I lost vision and hit the side of a table, smack, and got 8 stitches across my head and was in the ER room the entire night trying to show my buddy from college a good time. I mean, it was just, I've been through it and I know it. And I think that's why I'm here today and why I committed myself to healing. And when I was you know, God had given me such a blessing when I was a young man. And I just hope you can relate with this, that I came from Virginia. I moved to California. I worked my butt off. I was a personal trainer in college, right? So I knew how to get in shape. I knew how to eat. So before I even got chronically sick, I was already eating clean. But I was working out twice a day, doing sprints and working on weightlifting, getting in the best shape of my life. And all of a sudden, I've got this chronic disease I can't get rid of. But I had already signed with some of the major. No one knew me. No one found me. I built my career from no one, nothing. I just came into town, didn't know anyone, slept on the floor for the first 3 nights of a random apartment, and then just that was it. My whole family was in Virginia, and so for me, it was like, God, why could? And maybe you can relate with this. Why are you doing this to me? I mean, especially so young. I had my whole life ahead of me. So I'll tell you that everyone on this call, we're going to continue to fail until we simplify a plan, until we let go of our fear, anger, and resentment, until we choose to go towards a positive energy on a daily basis. It has to be a choice. And then we just need to extract stuff. So we can listen to this podcast. We can listen to people like Huberman and all these other fantastic people out there. But you need to have something that's simple that you can integrate. And that was a big shift for me, is that I came in, I was done being sick. Something really changed inside of me, a vibration inside of me, that I was done being sick. So when I was younger, I had put it on my mom to heal me. I had put it on the doctors to heal me. I had put it on the medicine, the biologics, the immunomodulators, the steroids, the antibiotics to heal me. And whenever we paid for, hey, let's do this famous diet. Let's go on the carnivore diet. Let's go on the paleo diet, the AIP, low FODMAP, GAPS. I was just doing it because other people talked me into it, because I knew my mom was paying for it. And I was just looking at my clock, waiting for it to work. All right, how long do I have to keep this up? So I'm going to tell you what's going on in your mindset right now, especially if you're trying to deal with a diet, to deal with some health issues going on. You're in your mind, your spirit's saying, let me keep up and sacrifice my preferred lifestyle for this diet, this elimination diet, and I'm going to do it so that I can get back to normal and then return to my normal life. The problem is that your normal life is what got you sick in the first place for most of us. So it's this vicious cycle, because you're not doing this because you want to keep it up. You're doing this because you have to. And that's why I was failing with diets for so long. Okay. No matter if you're dealing with metabolic, insulin, heart issues, Crohn's or colitis, we have to change our lifestyle. And we can't just do it because we have to. We have to do it because we want to. And there's a difference. See, want and have to have the same desired outcome, but one you can be more consistent with, one you can be more in balance with, one you can inspire others to be like you. Because normal is just what everyone perceives they're going to do. Like drinking beer is normal. Why? Because everyone does it. Staying up till 2 a.m. with your friends playing video games is normal. Why? Because everyone does it. Getting drunk on New Year's, getting drunk on Christmas, eating crappy candy food in Halloween is normal because everyone does it. We need to create a new normal. See, these are one of the main shifts I did when I was healing myself, is I started second guessing what people said was normal. It's not normal, because I was going to fight this fact. And I ask you, and I'm going to defend you right here. You are not meant to be sick. This perception of normal is making you sick. So it's either A, I'm living in a normal life and God smited me and I just happen to be a sick person. So better luck next life. Or there is a falsity in my reality, and in this world and everyone's living, they are walking on thin ice, and I am going to shift myself now. It just, my body happened to break to these false ideas of living now. And when I started looking and I said, what about all this processed food? What about these seed oils? What about the quality of the meat, the plants? What about all this sugar? What about soda? What about alcohol? What about marijuana? I just saw, and as I researched and I looked to other mentors, NDs, MDs, DOs, anyone I could get a hold of, especially when I was housebound for a year. My naturopath professor used to just blow my mind with truths about what was happening in our food cycle, and things like vaccines and EMF waves and the parasympathetic nervous versus the sympathetic nervous system. And I started feeling my body shift. That's what we need. When you actually put rubber to the road and you see ROI, return on investment, when your energy gets better, when you sleep better, especially when your lab work gets better, it starts waking you up from this false paradigm, this false reality that this is normal. It's not normal. And I learned that young. And that's the biggest thing I teach to my kids in the program. You are not meant to be sick. There's nothing wrong with you. Your body is divine. It has the ability to heal. And you have to rebuild this idea of normal and then enroll others in living like that. Not like gospel, but just based on being realistically free. Good case in point. I see this a lot with my female members, especially. A lot of my female members will go out to dinner or lunch with their girlfriends. And a common conversation to be had is, I'm bloated, I have low energy, I don't like my skin, my hair is thin, and I wish I looked better in these jeans.
Right?
And every single thing you do in functional medicine helps every single thing we just talked about. You want better skin? Get into functional medicine. You want better hair, thicker hair? Get into functional medicine. You want to reduce that bloat? Fix your nutrition plan. Fix your microbiome. You want to have more energy? Fix your mitochondria. Increase ATP. Drain out your liver, gallbladder, lymphatic, right? You want to have less depression, more dopamine? Fix your microbiome. Increase natural fats. Get your cholesterol up. Regulate your estrogen and testosterone. It's all right there. We're just waking up, guys. Wake up. Hey, we're just waking up. Just like if you look back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, how our country woke up from things like segregation or male and female rights, civil rights, or even how our ability and understanding of finances that's happened in the last 20 or 30 years. Everyone started to learn about how I'm going to invest for myself. My dad, he didn't learn anything. He just gave it to his CPA and that was it. CPA, CFA. We're waking up and now look, with same things happening in health. No one was talking about seed oils and organic food, and we didn't have social media and the research that we have. Now, there might be information saying all these, these different points, but never did we have the amount of information and self-empowerment that's building right now. Look at the future. Where do you think it's going to go in the next 10 or 15 years? It is our responsibility to learn how to take care of ourselves, build a new reality, and do it for our kids, and to help our parents learn it, because they grew up in a place where there's no such thing as organic food. There's just food. How's my grandma supposed to know this?
Right.
Well, how's my dad? He's like, it's food. I go to the store, I buy food. What are you talking to me about here?
It's so true. It's so true. It's like my parents are in their 70s, and unfortunately my mom's going through cancer treatments right now, but I've give her, it's probably like too much information, like information overload, but it's like, and she's a retired nurse. So it's like, break it down. And this is why. And then, so then my grandmother's still alive. She's like 97. And it's like, why is she still alive? Oh, because she had a garden growing up and she canned all of her own stuff. She made all of her own bread. It's like
good genetics too. Shannon might be around till 2100 here.
Oh, if my kids, my kids, oh, they make so much fun of me. But I always say, I'm like, I don't want you to have to worry about me in my old age. So, there's just so many things that you said. And it's like just going into the food system itself, like that is an hour conversation or more, but it's unfortunate. So my kids are 20, 18, and 15. And my 15-year-old is probably the one at this point. I have a girl, boy, and he just bucks everything I say. And it's like, if you're having a friend over, well, we have no food to eat here. It's like the pantry is full, the refrigerator is full, but it's not like anything common.
Chips and cupcakes.
And we're that family that eats Brussels sprouts. It's like, well, Brussels sprouts are real food. Crackers and chips are not. So it's so frustrating because it's shorts, it's in the schools. They're made fun of for eating actual real food. But, I remember
until you see how jacked and ripped he gets and how fast he gets on the football field or basketball field, we'll see who's making fun of whoever.
Well, that's what, you try to say that because my other son who was ill, he's thriving now, but he was 18, he's 18 now, but he's just starting to realize it. It's like once they leave my house is when they realize, which is good. It's like, that's my job. It's like, my job is to plant the seeds and educate you. Not be crazy, Mom, but after you leave here, you'll know the difference between A and B and how it makes you feel. But I remember the day that my son was diagnosed, the pediatric gastroenterologist took my husband and I into a small meeting room. And my son had been sick for like 3 or 4 months at this point. So we had done, started to change things, diet, researching. And we knew like Crohn's or colitis were going to be one of, we were hoping for anything other than that. So when he dropped the bomb, we're like, oh, and what does he say? This is lifelong. Yeah. We don't know what causes it. It's an autoimmune disease. And here's a list of food that you should eat. And it was all like flour, like applesauce, bread.
The low fiber.
No fiber. And I looked and it's like, I'm a dietitian. Yes, I had some training, but I wasn't like specialized in IBD. But even I am like, how are you giving people this list of
Yeah.
inflammatory foods? It was crazy. And so I'm the mom that nobody wants their son to, like nobody wants me as the mom because I'm asking so many questions. And his gastroenterologist was such a kind man, but he could not answer any of my questions. Like, of alternative therapies and diet. He did let us try some diets at least, but I know what helped you come out of, almost dying was the antivirals. And for my son, it was
Yeah.
antibiotics. So it's going to be
Hmm.
different
Hmm.
for every single person. But I remember him telling us, well, we'll try this short term, but as long term, this isn't under the standard of care. So I can't prescribe these medications that have turned your son's health around within a week. I can't get behind them. So it's so frustrating. It's like the doctors are backed into a wall because they can't do anything
Yeah.
outside the standard of care. And the people are questioning, I mean, and these diseases that are quote unquote chronic, they're just not equipped for.
Yeah, there was so much said there, and let's jump into doctors. Let's talk into a few things I think we can really help the viewers get the most out of today is talking about dealing with conventional medicine or your doctors. What's the best way to do that? Dealing with people, your friends or your kids or people around you. How to continue to create that reality, shift that mindset around creating a new normal, because I've been in your shoes, deep into your shoes. I Everything I ate had gluten. The first time my mom, when I was a kid, tried to show me a gluten-free diet, I threw it out the window. She took this book, I threw it out the window
Um,
out of anger, because I was like, well, what has gluten? Bread, this, everything you eat. I never wanted to do natural medicine. It's just like your kids. I had zero interest. I was so angry that this was even considered. And when I
mhm.
looked at doing it, it was like, this will never work. There's 1% of the planet can do what this diet is saying. I got to live like a bubble boy for the rest of my life. These are my
Right.
first thoughts. I got to live like Bubble Boy. I got to be Mr. Bubble Boy for the rest of my life. So, first off, the first point we just said is really really important, that you have to shift your mindset around what is that new normal, and start investing in being that. So simplify. Okay, simplify what you're going to do on a day to day basis. I would recommend, if you're taking supplements or doing certain things, do it first thing in the morning and last thing at night. Okay, try to open up the middle of your days, simplify it, and make small changes, because this consistency, at first you're like, man, I want to get those results. I want to get results in 2 or 4 weeks. I want my next lab test to show much better. Just calm down and prove this. Prove the consistency first. Okay. Now, doing what we're talking about today, changing your nutrition plan, using supplementation, using peptides, using herbs, using meditation, most of these things, if you do them right, they can't hurt you. The doctor really doesn't have a problem with it. It's just that the doctor can't control those variables and doesn't have any experience or training. So they don't have nothing to say about it. They're not going to tell you, they're going to say, well, I can't recommend it. Why? Because it's not their jurisdiction, right? That's like
So true.
the governor of California trying to recommend something to the governor of New York. It's not his jurisdiction. So you have to look at the words, okay? A lot of doctors, we put it on them, in that our society puts it on our doctors to be the know all be all.
Mhm.
Listen, our doctors are incredibly smart. Let's connect with them. Let's love on them. Let's nurture them. But let's also understand what they are and what they are. Okay. The doctor is not the CEO of your health. You are. You don't work for the doctor. The doctor works for you. Okay. You have to take head of the table and become the CEO. Take care of the doctor that you're going to decide. Is it this doctor, that doctor? So find a new one if you need to. Find a GI or PCP or some sort of doctor that you like. Get them on your board. If you understand my metaphor, get them on your board. Be civil, be strong, be a good listener, heed their word, but you run the ship. So if a doctor says, I can't recommend that, I don't need you to recommend that, sir. I've got other board members. You see, this is how I did it. GI doctor goes, you got to get a surgery. You got to be on drugs for the rest of your life. Thanks for your opinion. I'll come see you when I need you. Now, not being disrespectful, these doctors help save my life. They're way smarter than me in 100 different directions, even today. Okay. I look to them with many things. So one of the main things I look for with my GI doctor is they are my emergency care physician. They
Right.
help save my life. If I'm in a car accident, if I'm having a severe flare where I'm losing blood, I'm losing electrolytes, I'm throwing up, I'm going to see them. Thank you so much for what you do. All my MDs, my DOs, all of my GIs. This is tremendous. Okay? So that's how I want you to see it. Just listen and don't aggravate. You know, a lot of even members say, hey, Dane, I told people I joined the Shield program I'm getting good results. And then my doctor got mad and said that this is going to be a scam and be a waste of my time. They don't know what they're talking about. That's just like 1960s school segregation. It's just, we got to wake up. We got to continue to wake up. It's obvious. It's obvious. Food, what you eat is obvious. Understanding the microbiome is obvious. I'll give you some root causes I see constantly with all disease. Poor digestion, okay? Weak liver, okay? Poor bile production, okay? Backed up gallbladder, weakened microbiome, out of balance, and predominantly, especially if you have insulin issues, candida or fungal overgrowth. I'm thousands. I've worked with thousands of people with IBD, all right? I had this one guy from LA. He is one of the most as successful as you can be and had the best insurance in the world. And they were recommending him to get a colonoscopy. I did a comprehensive stool analysis and I found 5 times the normal threshold of candida sitting in his stool. Non-invasive at-home stool analysis, I find 5x. 4 months later, he's symptom-free. 6 months later, he's medication-free. He's been good for 3 years. They told him to remove his. It's not that they're being ignorant or angry towards us. They have 5 minutes with us, guys.
Right.
They have 5 minutes with us. They're not doing the insurance is only covering your Walmart testing. Little hack on testing. If the test says positive or negative, it's a crappy test. You need quantitative PCR analysis. They're probably not doing urine. They're probably not doing full blood like they're doing a regular CBC. But are they checking your testosterone? Are they checking your CRP and SED rate? Are they checking your calprotectin? Are they even checking your ASCA or your PANCA to even tell you what's going on with Crohn's versus colitis, which is non-invasive? Give you some ideas. Free and total testosterone, iron. You know, are they just recommending? You know, many sometimes the doctors, they have this crappy little iron tablet that aggravates the gut that a lot of us, when we take it, it gives us more diarrhea, more cramping, more blood. You need a nano-sized iron that bypasses the gut, goes directly in the bloodstream. Okay, I use Quick Iron Plus by Jeannie Patel. That stuff's awesome. Okay, so it's just like little simple stuff. The problem is the doctors don't have these resources. They're not trying to be mean or angry. They just don't have the resource. So I'm going to teach you what I call the perfect triangle. Okay, so for your best results dealing with the doctors, continue to find the doctor that you can communicate the most, that's most open to listen, to learn, and realize what they are. They're your emergency care physicians. They're going to help you with things. Prednisone helped save my life. It might help save yours. Mesalamine enemas, but tons of my clients do very well. Maybe you need these medications to help with insulin or blood sugar, all sorts of stuff. Okay, use what you need with your doctor. The second part of your perfect triangle is that you need to have a natural medicine physician on your board, someone who can help you run functional lab work. I like the organic acid test, the GI map test, CBC with CMP blood analysis with more levels in there, like your omega-3s, your CRP, your SED rate, your HDL, your LDL, continuing to check your glucose. Okay. And then be able to help you with supplements and finding root cause. Is there viral? Is there parasite? Is there candida, heavy metals? Are you showing signs of dysbiosis, H. pylori? How's your pancreatic enzymes, like your elastase 1, your stereocrit, fat malabsorption? Are you showing signs of viral load? Like for me, I found massive loads of cytomegalovirus, which I tested through an ELISpot technology with the lab I work with, a medical doctor in Germany. I work with Dr. Armin. And so we checked 6 viruses and 2 bacteria associated with chronic inflammation in the GI tract. That's an MD's private lab in Germany. So that ND should be able to help you find root causes, help you tailor, customize a nutrition plan. That was one of my problems when I was trying to find my ND, is they were giving me generic diets. I wasn't in the right mindset. I didn't know why I was doing it. I was just doing what I was told, whether it was just paleo or eat this way, cut out dairy, cut out gluten. No, it needs to be customized to you. It needs to be trained on what you're doing and why. The more training you get, the more you're going to believe in it, the more consistent you're going to get, okay? Our goal is consistency and belief. Belief is going to help you physically, emotionally, and spiritually, okay? So we got to get the training under belt. Everything needs to be customized to you. No generic diets, okay? In the end, you're actually going to eliminate the idea of a diet. Right now, I eat whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. That's my power. I have no diet, but I never eat gluten or dairy, and I rarely ever drink alcohol, and I eat farm-raised food from at home because that's how I choose to live, because that's how God wanted me to live, and I don't believe in poisoning myself. You see the difference? So natural medicine, get trained, customized plan, using all sources of alternative therapies. Now, you need to talk with them and have trust and integrity. It's the biggest 2 things I want with your natural medicine: trust, integrity, and specialization. Can they customize? Do they specialize in what you're dealing with? Okay. So now you have that person on the other side of the board. Now, if you are running a company, you're going to want people with different types of opinions on where the company should go, right? You don't want everyone on the left or everyone on the right. You want to hear a full spectrum of opinions. So that's my natural medicine. They're not here to argue. They're not here to say this person's wrong or this person's right. Just listen and grow. And a lot of the things I love about what we're talking about right now is natural medicine is symbiotic to conventional. Meaning if you cut out dairy or gluten or cut out some of your sugars, you go more AIP along with the conventional medicine for your insulin regulation, what's the harm? Zero. Zero. They're symbiotic. Whoa. So if you want to optimize your results, if you're listening and saying, Dane, I want to optimize results, what do? You hire right now, you get your conventional team and your natural team. Get them both. Now, the third part of the triangle is a personally empowered patient. Okay. You've got to be the CEO. You've got to be consistent. You've got to work the mind. You've got to be training. You got to be reading the books. You got to be learning. All right. Because I've seen a lot of members come through who have a great doctor. They hire us to be their NDs, but they're not accountable. They're not doing the work. They're not doing the training. They have no idea what they're taking and why. One of the biggest reasons I was failing is when I went to my ND and I spent $600 out the door on all their supplements. I didn't know what I was taking. I was just like, oh, I outsourced it. I delegated to him. He knows what I'm taking. He's going to tell me if I need to take 2 caps, 1 caps, or I need to get off that or add something in. The problem with that is I'm taking 30 caps a day. I have no idea why I'm taking them. I'm getting tired of taking them. And then my consistency continues to go down. If it's not working, it's going down. If it is working, I'm starting to forget. Either way, my consistency, because I'm not empowered. I'm delegating the training. And look, you're lowering the value you get, the ROI for the investment you make. If you make a $2, $5, $10, $20,000 investment in functional medicine and you're not getting trained, you're losing half of the value. That was a problem I had with the NDs I worked with, is that a lot of them were trained just to tell me what to do, but they weren't training me. So one thing I do in the Shield program, we train you. We have a hybrid program. You have to go through the program, plus you have your coach. You need to learn what you're doing and why. Actually, in the first module, we have a training called Solving Supplements. You are to write down every supplement you're taking and why. If we recommend something to you, you have to agree with it. You have to be able to write down 2 to 3 sentences on what it does and why, and then keep up with that. Because as you build out, we call it the daily blueprint. As you build out your blueprint, you're going to have the power to say, I'm done with this. I'm adding that. If you want to get great results, this isn't results for 6 months. This is results for the next 50 years, 70 years. Think about it. What's it going to take for you to get great results over the next 50 years? You got to learn your body. You got to learn what works and why. You even need to start learning in layman's terms how to interpret your lab work. Okay. So I'll get certain conventional lab work through my doctor, but I get most of my lab work through the functional. I mean, now because I have a nurse practitioner on staff, I order my own I have a phlebotomist come to my house. So I do my own blood work, my own stool, my own urine, my urine analysis. I do all of it from home and have a phlebotomist come to my house, get it all together. I go through it. I might even hire an ND just who specializes in different things to give me their second opinion, right? But I specialize in also reading, interpreting this lab work. And I'm a board certified nutritionist. What do I know, right? Well, what I know is I've been doing this for 15 years and I've dedicated my life to it. And it's not like it's unlearnable, guys. And the simple stuff you can learn in a month. It's not like this is learning a new language. Yes, if you want to be an expert of blood analysis, it takes some serious training. But in the beginning, a lot of the stuff says easy. What's your CRP? What's your fasting glucose? What's your hemoglobin? What's your white blood cell count? Oh, your eosinophils are high. What does that mean? What your leukocytes are high? Oh, that might be a virus. You might have gotten COVID. So you start learning some of that stuff. And the more empowered you get, the longer you're more likely going to live, the happier you're going to be, the more you're going to be able to help your kids. You're going to be able to help your parents. You're going to be able to help your brothers and sisters. You're going to be able to help your friends. To this day, if my friend's got a problem, I can do something about it. So realize that, and I believe this is why a lot of the billionaires are getting into it. If any of you guys are UFC fans watching Dana White doing fasting and carnivore diet, and working with Gary, I can't remember his last name, but everyone's getting into it. This is the most valuable asset you can be trained in on the planet, bar none. What's going on in my body? How can I keep myself healthy? And then on top of that, once you get past the cholesterol issues, the insulin issues, now you can start playing a more fun game, the longevity game. And 90% of what the longevity game is going to teach you is what you need to do to heal now. I'm going to repeat that. 90% of what the longevity game is going to teach you is things you need to do now to heal the problem you have. You got to get rid of the sugar. You got to eat organic. You got to get rid of the glyphosate. Okay? You got to get rid of the seed oils. You got to start having more home-cooked meals. You might want to consider doing more intermittent fasting, which we can talk about fasting as well, and the value for gut health. Intermittent fasting or 2-3 day fasts, right? Work on that autophagy. Go after the senescent cells. So there's so much you can do. So that's the second big point I want to make is build your perfect triangle. Find it. I don't care if it's me, guys. If you want to work with me, I am excited. I'm committed. I am going to do everything in my power to make this the best decision in your life. And I'm going to show you as much trust and integrity as possible. I'm literally rebuilding part of the Shield program right now. I just hired a mental health coach to meet with the whole team every other week for free. I mean, it's a one-time investment, and we have people 3 years later still getting massive results. Our success rate's massively high because everyone gets a coach and we customize plans. We don't do anything generic. But that's what you want. Look for those attributes and what you're doing. Like, and more of them are going to come out. These telemedicine online programs where you can get trained, you can get coaching, you can get access to lab work, you can get access to the best supplements and really understand what you need to take and why. Stop doing things because someone tells you to and start becoming empowered to agree with what you should be doing. Build that perfect triangle and start shifting your reality, especially for my young people out there. Is if you think you got to go drink alcohol and eat crap food and this, and because everyone else is doing it, they're living in a fog. It's a false reality. And you're going to be your best self. You're going to be more masculine. You're going to be more feminine. You're going to be more empowered. You're going to be more athletic. You're going to look better. Your stomach's going to feel better. You're going to have a better six pack. Your skin's going to be better. Your energy's going to be better. Your sleep's going to be better. Your ability to work hard and get that raise, your ability to get to college and go to med school, your ability to get married and look your best on that wedding day. It's all right here. There's not one. It's all a mirage. It's all fake, thinking that this is somehow going to restrict you. You have to sacrifice something. I don't have to sacrifice anything. And that's what I learned. And I just conditioned myself and retrained a new reality over these last, 12 or plus years. And so now I don't carry a diet. The only people who really influence me are people who are happier or healthier. If you don't have one of those two attributes, I really don't allow you to influence. Okay. So take that today. Are you being influenced by people who are not as happy or healthy as the direction you want to be? If so, why? Why? Who's truly happy? Another question I want to ask for you to write down, okay? Who's the happiest person you know? We rarely think about this. Who is the happiest person I know? I bet Shayna's kids might say, she's pretty much up there because the frequency how she lives is so positive that that's also what comes out of her. There might be a little anxiety, a little mom worry here and there, but positivity creates positive and negativity creates negative. Eat positive food, watch positive TV, be in positive conversation, release things that are depreciating energies, create wealth in your health, invest in appreciating assets and get rid of your depreciating liabilities like crappy friends and crappy food and alcohol and late night blue light and EMF and all that garbage.
Yeah. After a while, those fun things just aren't real fun anymore. But that third part, that being the empowered patient, like as a practitioner, it can be so disheartening when you have somebody who's just not there in that way yet, where they come into your program, they know all the things, and they might have more knowledge about nutrition and blood sugar than I do, but yet there's no change being created. Like they're just stuck because they don't understand like that they are the CEO of their health and that they have the power to do things. And I have people ask me all the time, well, probably you do too, like, what diet do you follow? I'm like, I don't follow a diet. Like I eat real food and I eat what works well for me at the time that works well for me and the portions that work well for me. And I focus on what makes me feel well. And some people might think, oh, well, isn't that just so restrictive, being gluten-free and not drinking alcohol? I'm like, no, it's empowering and it makes me feel good. And I think it's restrictive to eat stuff that makes you feel like crap. Like, I don't want to live like that. And when you shift the mind and see it in that way, just so many things change. But let's touch back on gut health for just a minute. My daughter, who is 20, I've talked about her a little bit on the podcast. She has PCOS and she struggled with it since she left for college. So this is like her third year. And there were symptoms there, but when she left for college, that just kind of exacerbated it, all the stressors of college. And it's just in the last couple of months that we've really gotten a handle on it. And it was frustrating for me too, because like, here I'm supposed to be the blood sugar, insulin resistant, expert. And I'm telling her all these things and she's doing a lot of it, but there were just pieces of the puzzle that were missing. So she was doing a lot of the things and she's a college student. It's really hard. That's kind of when everything started for you too. It's like, it's hard when, you feel like everybody else can do all the things and party and, she's not a drinker, she's not a partier, but, she's staying up late to study and, yada, yada. But we got some additional testing done for her and her gut health was a mess. And I was like, okay, why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do this sooner? Like there was a lot of, bacteria, viruses that were elevated and other things that were low. And you really have to, she had the GI map done that you were referring to earlier. And a food sensitivity test. And once we did that piece, and I got to hand it to her, for 6 weeks, she eliminated all of the foods on that list, which were really tough when you're living on your own and making your own food. You know, you went through this too. But 6 weeks later, like, her biggest symptom was acne, like cystic
Okay.
acne. And it was
Yeah.
just heartbreaking because she eliminated so many things and tried so many things, and this topical and that topical. And I would say, like, you know, healing has to come within. You say this to people, but yet they're struggling with the acne, and it hurts and it's painful. And now that she's finally got the gut health portion of it, and one thing that happened, so when she was 9 years old, her appendix ruptured, and she was in the hospital for 11 days, like on really strong antibiotics. And I don't know if that was a catalyst, or, you know, there's a lot of things. And of course, when my kids were younger, I was conventionally trained as a dietitian. So I
Mhm.
was not eating the same foods as I am now. And
Yeah.
you know, with the same foods in our house, like, I was under the understanding, well, whole grain goldfish are okay because they're whole grain. You know, it's like, that's what we were taught as dietitians in the
Yeah.
conventional space. But that gut healing part of it has been game changing. So with your clients, I mean, I know you do a lot of testing.
Yeah.
Is it the GI map and looking for food sensitivities if people think that they have some gut dysbiosis? Because that can be a huge part of
Oh,
blood sugars being wonky too.
yeah. Everyone out there listening, from my experience, I'm a specialist in IBD, right? But I've had people come to me with cancer, other people PCOS, endometriosis, rheumatoid arthritis, and I have seen tremendous results across the board by treating the gut. Okay, let's jump into the gut and let's start focusing on healing the gut. No matter what's going on, if you're dealing, I've seen depression go away. I had chronic cystic acne myself, not just widespread, all over my back.
Mhm.
I think it's online if you guys want to search it, but it's all over my back, all over my chest, all over my face. It's severe cystic acne, very damaging, hurt, huge little volcanoes on my back, right? And I was using everything topical, nothing was working. And arthritic pains also is a big one too, and depression, low energy, brain fog. When you start with the gut, the first thing I'm going to do is, if you are on a budget, I'm just going to focus our budget on game plan first, because lab work, functional lab work, is expensive. There are little ways we've been working around how to try to get insurance to cover it. It seems like it's starting to loosen up a bit. One of my guys I work with, he's a fantastic acupuncturist, and he's trained in all different stuff. He's actually been figuring out a way to get the stool test through health insurance. So I'm looking at this now for our community and saying, well, we might be able to get $200 off this thing, because it cost me $350 to order for you. That's my cost. One thing in the
Wow.
program, I make $0. We do a few $100,000 of lab work through our global clients around the world, but we make $0. I have no interest in making any money on that. People need access to labs. So if you're on a budget, just for a second, try to get what you can through the doctor. But the first things first, especially if you're in a place where you're mentally or emotionally hurt, just run the plan. Run the plan for a few weeks and then go do labs, especially if it's going to cost you money that you don't really know you have. So with the gut, the whole point of food, there's two things you want to do with food. You want to eliminate the inflammatory response, and you want to increase nutrient absorption. So when you go on an elimination diet, you're trying to get rid of things that your injured gut is not ready for yet. It's not that you're allergic to them, it's that you're sensitive because you have a hurt gut. Imagine this metaphorically. If you hurt your knee, you shouldn't go run and play basketball and go do sprints up a mountain. Will you do them again? Yes. Do you need to heal first? Yes. So doing a diet is like doing physical therapy for a knee. Let's say you go to physical therapy class, and let's say stage 3 of it is jump rope. Should you do jump rope on day 1? No. Can you consider jump rope on day 27? Yes. It's the exact same in the food. When you go on food, you want to get more restrictive and then slowly add in. Food is a measurement of success. It's not you can't do it, it's that your body's not ready for it now, just like the knee. Keep driving that into your mind. Keep coming back to the food as a measurement of success. Now, how do we increase our body's ability to take it? The number one cardinal rule of food is how it's prepared. I can take in a local organic chicken and I can put it on a barbecue with crappy oil and crappy seeds and tons of heat from those flames, and I'm going to do terrible with it. I can take a piece of crappy conventional antibiotic filled with antibiotics and growth hormone chicken, and I can slow cook it in a broth and eat that and do great with it. The number one rule of food is not actually the quality of food, it's how it's prepared is more important than the quality. And that's where a lot of us are getting stuck and going, Dane, I'm spending so much money on these grass-fed steaks, but they're not prepared properly. You got to learn, especially with plant defenses. You've got to learn how to pressure cook. You got to boil less heat, slow it down, okay? Lower the heat. Try to get rid of direct heat, okay? Steaming, boiling, baking, pressure cooker. These are better ways to get it bioavailable. Chew it. Make sure it's broken down there. Get your digestive enzymes up. The number one problem I'm seeing with people is they got such poor stomach acid and they got H. pylori infection. Their pancreatic enzyme has no pancreatic output. So the duodenum's getting no bile, no pancreatic enzyme to support breaking down those fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. And most famous diets, look at what most diets have in common first before what you argue the religious kinds of diet. Oh, it's carnivore, it's plant. Just look at what they have in common. Most of them are going to tell you to get rid of the polysaccharides. Okay, which are your complex carbs. That's commonly what's going to be easier. No matter what autoimmune, what you're dealing with, complex carbs usually are harder to digest. Okay, you need to get rid of foods that are not digesting properly. If it doesn't digest properly, it's going to cause aggravation, inflammation lower down. That might be triggering more lupus, MS, RA, depression, weight issues. I mean, if you look at what they're recommending for someone who's diabetic and you look at what they're recommending for RA, it's very similar. Okay, it's going to be low sugar, low polysaccharide is what most functional famous diets are going to do. So one thing I'm going to teach in the program is called food philosophy, how to get away from a diet and just start assessing the pros and cons and how to prepare food. All right. So when you're dealing with the gut, all you want, food will not heal the gut. It creates space in the body for a healing response. Okay. Food will not heal the gut. It creates space in the body for a healing response. That's why fasting is one of the fastest ways to heal, because you get out of the body's way totally and then the body heals itself. Functional medicine is not really all much more than just helping create a bridge for the body's divine ability to heal, just giving the body what it needs to heal itself. So that's what you're trying to do with food. You're trying to get out of the body's way. Now, your body needs certain building blocks to be able to heal. It needs to be able to build testosterone. It needs cholesterol. It needs protein. It needs amino acids, different peptide signals. Okay. It needs fats. You need fats. Okay. So you have to look at that. How do I drive in nutrients and reduce the inflammatory response? That's going to help the body start to heal. Intermittent fasting might be a great way to do it. If you're dealing with metabolic issues, insulin, I'd highly recommend intermittent fasting. Try to get to a 12 to 14 hour fasting window to start getting that a pathogen up, right? And so you can start getting the cells to start healing themselves, which I'm sure you guys have done 100 calls on. But when it comes to gut, yeah, that intermittent fasting might help, but a lot of times I won't intermittent fast. And if you don't have the weight to do that, or that you're just saying it's too hard for me, Dane, my glucose goes so low, I don't have energy, then you might want to consider like a morning shake. All right. Now, a morning shake might increase your glucose for certain people, but it drives in nutrients. That's why something that's very famous for healing the gut is going to be liquid fast, where they give you these things like Absorb Plus or Dr. Ruscio's meal replacement. And these meal replacements are going to spike your glucose, but they drive all the nutrients into your bloodstream to get you the energy. So I would rather you eat, if you're having energy loss, I'd rather you eat a little bit of banana. If you want to reduce that sugar, try to eat your fruit instead of shaking it up. But if you have really poor digestion, you might need to have blended nutrients. Okay. Now, what I like to usually do is use semi-elemental. So if I'm dealing with someone with severe gut issues, I'll use semi. Well, I'll use a little bit of a shake plus whole food meals using food philosophy. It's all about driving the nutrients in while calming down things that are going to aggravate the gut. So that's going to create space for a healing body, for a healing result. Okay. That's what we're trying to do in the beginning. The two things, again, eliminate inflammatory response and increase nutrient absorption. That's all you want from food. Okay. You get those two things, you're off to getting the most impact you can out of food. All right. So for instance, when someone says, well, how healthy is that? I can give someone Brussels sprouts for your example, Shauna, and they have a terrible inflammatory response because they can't handle the fiber. They can't handle any higher amounts of oxalates. They just can't break it down. They're pooping undigested Brussels sprouts. Okay. Now, if I give them white rice in the form of congee, they might do way better with it. The irony is the congee has almost no nutrient density, but the Brussels sprouts have tons of nutrient density. How bioavailable something is and how it reduces an inflammatory response is more important than how nutrient dense it is. That one took me years to figure out because I'm going, I'm on green juices. How many of you guys are getting your green juices in, your celery juices and your chlorella and your blue spirulina? It doesn't matter if you're still having an inflammatory response. You need to get out of the body's way. That's why, again, fasting is one of the fastest ways to heal. How much blue spirulina and chlorella and blue algae do we have in fasting? Zero. How much B complex are we getting? Zero. So realize the body's superpower, that it can heal itself. It can start cleaning itself. We need a cleaning impact more than we need to drive things in. From there, you just need to make sure you're getting enough fats and proteins and carbohydrates for the body to sustain and to make what it needs out of it. Okay. So when you're dealing with the gut, start with that. Understand what a diet can't do and what nutrition can do, and then compound from there. See, that's just one layer of what I'm going to start you with. Now I'm going to start adding on top of that. So if you've got certain things like bloating, gas, cramping, or let's say acne. So Shauna's daughter's got acne. I'm already thinking backed up liver and gallbladder. I'm thinking food sensitivities. I'm thinking leaky gut. So I'm going to start working on the gut layer. Maybe I'm going to use some BPC 157. Maybe I'm going to use a little glutamine. I'm going to use slippery elm, marshmallow root, aloe vera. Maybe I'm going to try some quercetin. Maybe I'm going to choose some N-acetylglucosamine. All right. I'm probably going to start looking at treating a little H. pylori right off the bat because I already know that she's got really poor digestion. She can't tolerate these foods. The digestion's off. So I'm going to give her some digestive enzymes. I might even give her a little shot of apple cider vinegar. I might give her a little fennel or ginger, like a little slices of ginger in the tea with a little lemon juice for extra electrolytes, and it's also alkalizing. Then I'm going to throw in some mucosal healers before each meal, because if I can get something to coat that stomach before she eats, there's less likely to have that the negative reactions, leaky gut. That's why doctors give us mesalamine with IBD. Okay, mesalamine's a 5-ASA stomach coater. So you start with coating the stomach. Okay, that theory is great. You can do it 2, 3, 4 times a day. You can do it long term. There's no negative side effect. You just need to slowly work up on that. So I'm going to look at treating that gut. I'm going to so optimizing digestion, and I'm going to look at treating the mucosal membrane first with the gut lining. Then I'm going to look at my food philosophy with the cardinal rule of how food is prepared. I do those 3 things. You might get 50 to 60% symptom relief in 5 days. That's why if you look at some of our testimonies, someone goes, I'm feeling so much better. We're just working on these. We're just looking at the system. It's a chess match. I've got to stop the damage, get your digestion up, better prepare your food, and start defending the gut lining.
Well,
Go ahead.
what's funny is, well, it's not funny, but I didn't show Dane her GI map results, but you nailed
This
it.
is the first time I've heard it.
Yeah. Right. Like her H. pylori was high. Her secretory A was high. Like she had
Gut
leaky
lining.
gut. She
Gut lining.
had, yep, she had leaky gut. I mean, we knew she had
What
a
was her
gluten
elastase 1?
sensitivity. I don't remember what that was, honestly.
Go back and check on it.
I would have to pull it up, but yeah, I'll pull it up while you're making
And then
your
I would
next
have
point. But
I would have her be doing castor oil packs. I'd
oh,
start her off with
yeah.
20 to 30 minutes once a day, castor oil. And if she's not having a Herx reaction from it, not having chronic diarrhea, brain fog, I'm going to slowly work that up to 4 or 5 hours, 5 to 7 days a week. Plus, I'm going to probably give her some N-acetylcysteine to help that liver out. And then I'm going to put her on a binder if she's getting a lot of diarrhea, because as much as I want to heal that gut lining, now I need to clean it.
Yeah.
Now I need to clean it out. So I'm going to maybe look at something like maybe a little bentonite clay, because I can slowly work up on that. Or I love the product GI Detox, if you can handle that, by Biobotanical Research. Or I might use Biotoxin Binder by Cellcore. That one's a really good one too. So just nice and slow. If you're prone to constipation, don't use that binder yet. Lots of water. And then light fibers can also do it. So if I can get her daughter on some really good pureed vegetables, that also might continue to help clean up the gut lining, because the gut's going to continue to be inflamed and react. That might be one of the underlying issues of PCOS until the toxins are eliminated from the body. So that's the thing, is I got to remove, I got to replace the 5 R's. Type in the 5 R's. I can't remember all of them at this moment. I haven't said them in so long, but the 5 R's of healing the gut. Repopulate, remove, replace, restore. There's one other one in there. So that's kind of what you want to do. So immediately you see, if I'm on a budget and you have a functional doctor or a functional program who really knows what they're doing, they're customizing the plan to you, I can save money and probably get 60% symptom relief before I even have to run a lab on Shava's daughter. Now, if they've got the funds and they want to do the labs, or they have labs, awesome. That gives me even a better North Star. But I know a lot of us in this world right now are just on budgets. So I'm going to run the game plan. I'm going to see how well I do over the first 2-3 weeks, then discuss labs. But I've seen people get symptom free hundreds of times without even doing labs. Now, even if you get you symptom free, I'm still going to run the labs, because you could be feeling good that week, but 3 weeks later you got symptoms returning, because healing root cause and feeling better are 2 different things.
Yeah. Okay? Yeah, for sure. And so she's 6 weeks in, and she eliminated all her food sensitivities that showed up. They were all low grade, so that's consistent with leaky gut. And she came home yesterday and her skin is just amazing. I was like, I mean, she's got scarring still she's fine with that though. She's like, but touch it. It doesn't hurt. It cleared up on my back and my chest too. So yes, I mean, it's root cause. And like I said, we did so many things that helped, but weren't root cause. Like we did the castor oil packs, we did, all of these things, but until she had that gut test done, and it's like, we didn't really see. And then she could like you were saying before, like she could understand the why behind what she was doing. So the last thing I'd like you to talk about, and then we'll close up, because I want to be respectful of your time. But one of the things that was probably one of the hardest things for us to deal with when my son was ill was getting on board with which protocol you're going to do and the medications. And my husband works in surgery.
Mm-hmm.
He's a biology and a chemistry. Like he's very skeptical. He's very like practical. Like Shanna, you need to listen to the doctors. Like they know what they're doing. And it was just so hard. I mean, I will be completely honest. Like we were to the point of almost separating because we could not get on board with how we were going to treat our kid who's pooping 25 times a day and doesn't want to
Yeah.
go to school. It was absolutely awful. And I had to actually seek help from doctors from Australia because nobody was listening to me here. And my husband thought I was crazy for wanting
Mm.
to think outside of the care. And so now what we've done is healed our son and his mother who was in chronic pain. I helped her heal. So now I think he actually trusts my judgment. But like, how do you get people, even if they're coming to your program or they're coming through my program and
Yeah.
they want to make all these changes, but maybe they have a spouse or other people coming in from the outside saying, you're freaking crazy if you think that
Yeah.
this is going to help.
I think the answer is the same as what we need in the United States anywhere. Everyone just needs space to be heard. Your
Mhm.
husband just needed to be heard, and he needed to be said, look, this is practical. We got to watch the woo woo here because his life's in danger. And for me, what I'd recommend is a get a ND, a naturopath or some kind of health coach, get in a program where you have someone who can sit with both of you and just be a mediator. So a good answer for that is, okay, what's going to be our protocol conventionally while we start implementing things that have no risk and reward. See, with Shayna, I would have just said, look, Shayna, what do you want to do? And then I would hear that and then express to your husband in this example, these things have no risk. If someone's not about this, if you can just say, look, there is no risk, it could only help. If I could roll the dice and it either get nothing or get Yahtzee, and I told you can roll the dice without risk, would you roll it? If I could get nothing, like roll the dice, there's no risk, you could get Yahtzee or you could roll them and get nothing. You're going to still roll them.
Right.
There's no risk. So start with what can't hurt and can only help. And start to say, what are we going to do conventionally? So I have a lot of parents who bring this to me. And I always say, because I'm very open to conventional. What to help save my life? What are we going to do? All right. So we're going to use a biologic, we're going to use prednisone, we're going to use this medication. As we get better results, we can come back and decide to reduce those medications. But that's going to help someone who is not really seeing eye to eye feel heard and taken care of, that we're not just disobeying the doctors and going wild, wild west here, that we're playing both. And remember, this is the biggest point I want you to take away. And I want you to say this to this person if they're right next to you, or you need to get off this podcast and go say something to them. They're symbiotic. They're
Right.
symbiotic. They work together, guys. We don't have to fight. We don't have to fight. You can use both. And if you get great results, you get great results. And then you can decide if you want to get rid of the medication. Okay. And was it the medication or was it the natural medicine that worked? Who cares? You got the results. That's all second layer stuff. That's all second layer. Get your son, get your kids, get yourself healthy, then reverse engineer. Okay. It's a lot easier to make these decisions from the top of the mountain than the bottom of the mountain. Okay. So get up there, use the symbiotic nature of natural and conventional, and listen. I think, when you're creating positive energy and you're trying to heal, I'm going to be straight up with you guys, is you're allowing victimhood to rule your life too much. Even when you're right, you're wrong by allowing the victimhood to win. You have a reason to be upset. Yes. You are justified. You're justified in your anger. You're justified in that you just need to follow the doctors, or doctors don't know everything, or they hurt you, or someone didn't have your back, or it's too expensive, or you already spent money and it didn't work. You're justified, but it's not helping you get results. At the end of the day, being a victim of something, although can be justified, does not help move the needle. And that was a hard one for me. Like when something happened in my life and I had to give up work, or I lost control of my bowel movements, or I had to have a cane, or all these terrible things, I could either be a victim or I could put it aside and focus on what's good. And I realized that when me and my mom, or me and my girlfriend at the time, or me and my dad didn't see eye to eye, even though I was justified in being angry at them because they didn't understand what it was like, it was just hurting me to let loose and flip and get angry. And I realized this one time because I was doing some more intense natural medicine. I was living alone in California. Mom was back in Virginia. And I was telling her about all the stuff I was excited to do. And she kept everything I said, she would just give me worry, doubt, and fear. Okay. That was her response to everything. And eventually I snapped and said, stop telling me what's wrong and la, 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 and you don't understand. And I need to do this stuff. And as I was yelling at her, I started getting pain in my GI. And I stopped and I said, oh my gosh, how I react to life is causing more symptoms, stress. And I've got to get my mom on my side. I've got to get my friend on my side. I got to get my doctor on my side. I can't be angry at my doctor. It's just going to make me more sick. I can't be angry at my dad or my mom, my brother, my sister. It's just going to make me sick. So what I learned there is I learned that positivity creates positivity. I just learned to listen. So here's what I want you to do. Take that person who keeps telling you it's wrong, you can't do anything, it's pissing you off. And I want you just to listen. I want you to repeat back their points. So what you're saying is there's no real evidence that natural medicine can really do this. There's no real backing on this, that our doctors are the ones that we need to put our trust into. And what you're saying is that we need to not go off the handle. We need to listen and do what they're saying. That's okay. I understand your point, completely on the same page. So I understand we need to listen to doctors. And what you're saying is there's no credible evidence that these supplements will do anything and that they might not hurt you. We might be wasting our money. So you're saying we might have a potential of losing a couple of $1,000s if we do this, right? That's another big. So these are what you're worried about in that. Okay. I understand where you are. Those are great points. One of my questions is, do you think we can do both at the same time and lower some of those risks and optimize our results? Do you think that's possible? Mom, dad, brother, sister, husband, wife. Yes, it is. I want you to try to get them to say the word yes. Just look for the word yes. Find common ground. When I started doing that, I realized that my anger and doubt and fear and all the fight went from an hour-long thing to a 10-minute thing. Let them be heard. Because they could fight all day long. I was going to end up in a bathroom or some severe pain if I fought all day long. My body couldn't handle it. So if you're a sick person trying to get family or friends on the same page, start with I love you. Start with understanding them. Start with repeating back what they need, and then try to get them just to say yes. And then it's going to calm them down and get on the same page and start to enroll them. I love the word enroll. 2 words I want you to use moving forward: enroll and possibilities. One thing that really hurt me is that if I followed, like say for instance, your husband got so upset he was removing the possibility. Well, if there's no possibility, if we get rid of a possibility, we already know the fate, right? You can't win with it if you don't try. The word possibility has to be in our jurisdiction. The energy has to be there. So enroll them in possibilities and then lower risk and then make it symbiotic. And then put on the Bob Marley, turn off the scary movies, go for walks, get your feet in the dirt, look at the sun, do prayer, start praying. Even I don't care if you pray to Kermit the Frog or Jesus, whatever you believe in, just start releasing some of that energy and releasing and just manifesting. Affirmation strong. You ever heard someone, just affirm something, just say it so convicted that deep down you said they're going to do it. You just knew they're going to do it. That's that power I want inside of you. I'm going to heal. You don't understand. I'm already healed. Time hasn't caught up yet. You don't understand. I'm not meant to be healed. My body is divine. It has the ability to heal. Why do you think if you cut your arm, you don't have to think at all? Your body will already cut it. It becomes aware and it fixes it. It has nothing to do with your conscious. Your body's divine. Look for reasons to enroll yourself and everyone around you in the possibility of healing, the divinity of healing. And then continue to enroll everyone on what's possible and surround yourself with that energy that makes it more possible. More podcasts, get in a program, get connected with people who are like-minded, build your customized plan, find your partner, build your perfect triangle, and you will get results because you are dedicated to getting results because nothing can stop you because you are the answer, not the doctor, not the supplement, not the diet, you, okay? Because that divine spirit lives inside of you. You can manifest, you can create, you can use your intuition. Okay, those are the 3 superpowers that God gives us: manifestation, intuition, and creation. You use all 3, it'll happen.
Well, Dane, I wish I would have had you around 6 years ago to tell us, to tell us all of that and to get us fired up about that's just so motivational. So where can people find you to work with you? And do you only work with those with IBD?
We do take some undiagnosed gut health issues. So if you come in and you say, look, I think I have IBS, I have severe gut issues, severe chronic constipation, cramping, pain, bloat. We do work in that. We specialize in IBD. That's 99% of our members. But we have great results with people who are just feel like we're the right fit for them. We're always going to listen if you feel we're the right fit for you. CrohnsColitisLifestyle.com. You can also follow us on Instagram. I'm Dane Johnson 1, the number 1, or CrohnsColitis_lifestyle for Instagram. And then the next best thing is you can go to the show notes here. And Sean, if you really want to learn about us, just click on that link. It's just going to ask for some of your information. Then you can set up a complimentary strategy session with one of our IBD support specialists, completely free. It's just for us to put our best foot forward. We believe we have to start with trust and integrity and learn each other. Everything we do is customized, so we need to start learning with you. So you can click that in the show notes and go and set up your free session whenever you'd like.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. I knew this would be an impactful interview. And it definitely was. I love your energy and your fire and your conviction to help and heal people. And just like you said, our bodies know what to do. We just have to get out of our own way. So thank you for being here today and all the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Happy healing.